actually today is I want to share with you my life story. And I don't want to share my life story as an individual, me, Priscilla from Linden, but I want to share with you my life story as an expert professional, the profession I like very, very much. And I will tell you about my company, Rabobank, and I will tell you about international assignments in Rabobank, and I will tell you about what keeps me and my team busy every day and share with you some cases and how it works in practice. And that's what I want to do. So please join me and join. First some facts. Well, Rabobank. A little bit about myself. I started working in Rabobank about 6 years ago, and before that I came from Philips, where I actually met Nanette for the first time, also in the same field. And then I moved to Rabobank, and I thought, is this a wise decision to go to Rabobank, this very, very Dutch company? And I was working in Philips, very global mobile company, so many international employees, but there was something into it. And then, actually, for me a few years ago, I really am experiencing how international this world is going to be for my company, Rabobank. But it all started in the beginning, 114 years ago, with just a bunch of farmers who needed really to gather all their credit facilities. And it's really, really only from, well, from 1980s that we first started our office, our very first office in America, with our very first expat. So it's only, well, 30 years, 33 years. But if I see today, we have about 800 offices around the world. And I will show you some maps where we are at the moment, so you have an idea where we're strong. But it has grown so much. And we're now in 30 countries in the world with expats, but actually there are many more countries where people are working for longer short-term periods. But then about 25 years ago they thought, okay, we cannot handle these people who are moving around the world just by HR simply. So they started an expat department, and I think it was 1 or 2 people. And I have to say, the very first lady who started working in the department, she's still with us today. And now we're today a team of 10 people and some other experts, and we're cooperating with our HR colleagues all around the world. Let me see for a moment. What I wanted to share with you, because I think it's very important to understand before I start talking more about assignments, is why do we actually assign experts around the world? Because there's so many, many reasons. Within Rabobank, I can see people who are going for career development. Very senior managements are actually relocating around the world. We have corporate management training programs with very, very young people who start their career in Rabobank, and their very first real job is somewhere in another country. Sometimes we just need hands, and sometimes we go to countries where they just need our technical skills or our expertise. So there can be so many reasons actually to go abroad. And that's also something what was really surprising for me. When I first started working in Rabobank, it were, I think, 90% of the expats or all the international assignees, they were all Dutch people. So it was quite easy actually, because, well, here we are as the headquarters in the Netherlands, and we just have to assign those Dutch people around the globe. But it's not the case anymore. We are growing our business, and the international community is growing as well. And we're spending more time actually on relocating people from Brazil to Australia, and from the US to Hong Kong or whatever, or from Tanzania to whatever country. Then we're now focusing on our Dutch people. So we're actually becoming quite an international company. And then also in accordance, our SMD population has grown so much. So when I first started, I think it was about 150 people where we were really managing, but at the moment we're doing 450 people every year in our population. So our business has grown. It has not grown that much. So we just have to find our ways to make it standard as much as possible, but also provide some services and what our business expects from us. Just to show you, this is excluding Europe. Where are we in the world? And this is split out in our major activities. It's wholesale, it's more in the farming, rural, retail banking, and we have also some groups like Robeco, which also belongs to Rabobank, Rabo Development, Rabo Fast Food Group, formerly known as bouwfonds. I think it's interesting for you to know that, for example, here it's our rubber development activities. We invest quite some money in banking, partnering actually with banks in developing countries. So at the moment we have about 20 long-term expats who are in Tanzania, in Rwanda, in Zambia, and I forget something, Paraguay, really working hand in hand together with developing countries to really develop their banking facilities. It's a very interesting business. But basically our main business is of course in Hong Kong, in New York, in London and in Sydney, because that's where the financial centers are in this world. But we're growing in all kinds of countries. So you can see we also have a presence in the Netherlands, in Europe, UK of course very big, and then Poland is for us a very growth area, Germany more, and there are lots of people who are coming to the Netherlands. Because you were first talking actually about people coming from Spain. Well, we attract hundreds of people every year from India, from all kinds of Eastern European countries, Australia, and they're all coming to work in Rabobank, sometimes as IT experts. It's changing really. And what is the role for my department? Well, it's so many actually, and that makes it sometimes difficult. I can share with you that we just did an audit of my department because we have to do that every 3 years. And then it made me realize that we're almost like a business in a company, because we have to actually design the policies, we have to execute the policies, we have to monitor compliance with the policies. What did I forget? There are so many different tasks we have to do. We control all kinds of different aspects. But basically, we are responsible as a department for developing policies and also executing the processes and monitoring everything. We have different type of assignments. We have long-term assignments. Those are the people who go away for more than 1 year, usually 1 to 3 years, sometimes 5 years, and they go from country to country to country. We have a lot of people who go on short-term assignments. Those are usually people going from 1 month to, let's say 9 months, 12 months. They go everywhere around the world. We have commuters. Those were typically the people who were working between Belgium and the Netherlands, and Germany and the Netherlands. But that's also interesting to see. Today we're actually talking about people working on a commuter basis from America to the Netherlands, or from America to Chile. Today we were talking some very strange big combination. So there's so much going on in the world really that we didn't think about a few years ago. We have the trainees, which I mentioned before. We have these people who we attract from abroad, the local hires, and then we have these people, international transfers in Rabobank, who go with a local contract to another company with a local contract, but who also need some kind of support, and usually they come to us. But we don't do this by ourselves. We have to cooperate with Home and Host HR in all those countries, because we cannot manage the world from Utrecht headquarters near Hoogte. So we just have to really reach out to our colleagues every day. So we start with Australia in the morning at 7 o'clock, and we end with America at 11 o'clock in the evening. So the people working in my team, they just have to really divide their hours accordingly, because otherwise we can't just manage it. And that's a little bit what I explained. But it's not only the HR we have to work with. We also work, of course, with the business, because they are strongly opinionated when it comes to the expats assignments, because it's so sensitive for them, like the packages we deliver, it really comes into the personal atmosphere of the expat and his or her family. So there are many people who are involved at a very low level and at a very top level in the company. So if there's a question, they just ask us, and we just have to make sure that we really manage all those people in this process, including external parties as well. So what keeps us busy from day to day? Well, as I think one of the, and before I maybe start telling about this, maybe I have to explain to you that we actually see some full process. It's the selection period, it's the start of the assignment, when people actually go on assignment, when they are there, and the end of assignment. In the selection phase, that's getting more and more important. And especially also for financial company like ourselves, money is not an easy thing just to decide upon. So the business, when they're going to thinking about sending someone abroad, they just ask us to deliver all kind of cost projections, because an expat can be quite costly, as most people who might know in this audience who work in this field themselves. So it takes quite a lot of effort to really make sure that we have a very good and correct projection of the cost in advance, so the business can make an informed decision on the package, and that we can share it. When we talk to the SME and his family, we talk about their benefits, we talk about taxes, we talk about legal consequences, we talk about cultural differences, we talk about immigration issues, safety and security, very important around the world, and also, of course, the impact on family life. And then we start actually moving them around when they go. We have to actually reach out to the vendors, to the relocation providers, who actually move their total household goods from the Netherlands to somewhere. And then when they are there, we have to actually manage their payrolls, and that's not so simple as it is here in the Netherlands, because we have to manage many times abroad. And then another part, which is very important for us, is that we have to do the salary rounds. And then when you work just here in the Netherlands, it's very easy, but we have to do that for all those people who are abroad, and taking into account all those different systems as well. Very important, which I think you started talking with, is of course the talent management, because for half of our population, the reason that we send them abroad is the talent management perspective. And then again, our audit department, they ask us to check if people are really in compliance with our policies, and that's not that we don't pay them more than that they actually should get. And they ask us to keep track of market trends and develop new policies and new processes and new instruments, and happily we have all kind of good benchmarking groups in the Netherlands and internationally where we can really talk. And we have to always provide our management with up-to-date management information, because they want to know how many expats do I have, how many people are going abroad, and that's very important for their business model. Yeah. So what I like to tell you a little bit about is how does this really happen in practice. So I was just thinking, we have a new expat this week, and let's say his name is Eric. And Eric, he goes abroad from the Netherlands to Australia. So what happens first is that before we actually know Eric, we have our management who is coming monthly together to decide upon vacancies. And they say, okay, we have a vacancy. Where did I say to them? Yeah, I said from the Netherlands to USA, in my mind, at least. So let's say we need a general manager in USA. So they come together, our management team, and they have all these different candidates. Probably usually there are 3 or 4 names. And before they actually make a decision, it's not only about like, does this person really fit the job, but it's also, does this family really, can the family really go with this Eric? Isn't it too expensive? Are there any blockers? Is there anything? So this is really where it comes with the pre-selection phase. We have to provide them with the cost selections. So on a monthly basis, we're very close with our talent management department to really monitor this pre-selection phase. Because if something goes wrong here, it's through the full assignment is going to be very difficult. So once the selection is done, we know Eric is going. So we will invite Eric and his wife actually for a meeting. Usually wife, but nowadays sometimes also men, fortunately, and sometimes also other combinations. And we will actually discuss with them many subjects. It will be about the terms and benefits, but it will also be about their action preparation, that they have to go to a tax provider to get some tax advice, but they have to take many courses as well. We send them to cultural course, language course. We send them to safety and security training, just to make sure that they're prepared if anything is happening. We send them to our education provider to know what is happening for their children. And maybe Eric's wife will also go to a partner training. And they have to really actually prepare everything themselves. And then we send them abroad. And then again, we manage all this day-to-day questions they might have. And sometimes they are very easy, but sometimes they are very big questions. And sometimes unforeseen things happen. People die on assignment, people, there are wrong things on assignment, there are like, everything is happening in the world. Sometimes things don't go well with the children. Sometimes people get promotion, those are the celebrations. It's all this kind of things that keeps us busy during this end of assignment. During the assignment. When Eric comes back, we have to decide if he's going to a next assignment or that we have a job for him again in the Netherlands. And that's also not an easy thing today. And I think many companies are already struggling with that because no job is guaranteed anymore. And that's really changed also our life. So we might be involved actually with transferring Eric to Hong Kong, but we might also be involved with actually a termination of Eric's job in the Netherlands eventually. So that, or we might be involved, of course, in the situation that he gets a promotion to a better job. So that's a little bit what comes to my day and my team's day. And the last things I have for you that I wanted to share with you a little bit around about is maybe this is just an overview of the countries we have. And here you can see about our demographics, because this is really changing as well. What I wanted to show you is that like the long-term expats, those are the expats who go for more than 1 year, you can see, really see a strong division between male and female. It's just strongly male determined, and female is only 9%. But our younger generation, the people who go on traineeships or short terms, you can really see it's changing in the demographics as well. And the same accounts for age, where we have usually our expats who are in the middle brackets, the younger ones who go on the short terms, and the traineeships, it's all in the younger age brackets. So these are the things which are all changing in this time really where we are at. So that's what I wanted to share with you for today.
Thank you very much. I was just looking for a picture. Let's see. Do you know who this is? Judy Dent. Do you know her?
No.
She's M. She's M from James Bond. I'm like, you're just like M from James Bond. You decide on who's gonna get an assignment or not, and who is really capable of the job or not. That's actually what you do, don't you?
For some part.
For some part, yeah. And who's Q then? But okay.
Yeah, that's nice. We decide by chocolates.
Yeah, right. But what I was wondering, because Eric is a guy I like. What kind? Because you said some questions he asks, but what can you give an example of frequently asked questions? Like what he really is trying to cope with?
I think first of all, really at the beginning, it's always about the package. I mean, it's always about the money, to be very honest.
Really?
Yeah, it's always about the money. That's what it starts. Do we have enough money to live our life abroad?
All right. So, and is that the right question to ask?
It's just a question.
Yeah, but then
it's an important question, because for our senior management population, and that's like half of our population, they already know that they are at the right track. So from a career perspective, they know, okay, if I'm going, this will be really furthering my career. So that's already in the box. So then they just really want to know what's going to happen financially to me and to my family. And often, of course, the partners of expats, they have to give up their jobs still nowadays. And if they go to New York, they might be fair, they can really work. But if they go to Rwanda, they cannot work. I mean, so it will have a financial impact on them.
Yes, but the thing is, it is very good that you say that, because yes, that has a financial impact, but it has a social impact as well. If your wife can't work,
so that's what we're
she'll
talking about.
divorce you in 3 years.
Yeah.
Why my wife would divorce me? So is that something you cope with, or are you trying to get out of it? Because you said, well, we got to interview them. But do you interview the wife as well before you decide who's going?
No.
Why don't you do that?
Because it's a very difficult topic to really touch upon.
But if Eric is going into a divorce,
Yeah,
he's
we
not
have a
really
big problem.
good for the Rabobank at that moment.
That's why it happens, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this, but I was like, if I would decide on 3 persons, I would like to spend some time with the wife as well.
Yeah, that's good. So in some businesses we really do, and so I think some of our business managers actually try to get an understanding of the personal life of the expat and about their families.
Or is it better just to send out single men?
Then they get all married and mixed up with.
Oh yeah, they never come back.
I don't think so.
What is the biggest? And I don't want to put this in a negative perspective, but just in risk analysis, because you spend lots of money on expatriates. What's the biggest risk for Eric in what was it? UK? Was it or United States? US.
Yeah.
What's his biggest risk
Yeah.
of not completing the task for Rabobank?
Yeah. Oh, I think in the end, then, and that's really different to a few years ago. When coming back to the Netherlands, it will be really more difficult for him to really get a job.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Aha. So he comes back as a seasoned man in the United States, and then there's no job here.
I mean, it's really about performance, of course, and completing your job. It's really picking up your life, your career, your family with you. And then, well, there is some pressure, of course, that you really have to perform well. Because wives would be otherwise sent these very expensive people abroad. So if it's not really going well, yeah, it's not always very easy to come back really and to really start up again.
It's a daunting task for you, and you're a little bit like M from James Bond. I really see that. Well, Bond, I don't know if I can send you another assignment. Sir, you want to ask a question?
You said you have about 450 post-border assignments. How many people in your department do you support those?
We have 10 people. Yeah, 10 people, and then of course we have a lot of support of our HR in other countries, but we don't have a house.
Right, so you have everything here, and then
We have a centralized function, but we cooperate on a daily basis with HR.
Tax services you buy.
We outsource, yeah. But so we also have a lot of in-source services. We don't outsource everything. But like culture courses, culture class, or language training, or tax advice, or all those things, they're all outsourced, of course. Relocation, immigration, as much as possible. Not all immigration, I have to say, depends on the situation.
Why do you want to ask? Because you're writing down all the numbers.
Well, I'm interested just to hear some ratios.
What kind of work do you do? Sorry.
Same.
Work where?
Accenture.
Accenture. And you send away many people as...
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So how many people do you have?
Yeah. She wants to benchmark that as well. Yeah.
On a yearly basis, we have about 18,000 people going on post-border assignments.
I guess so.
Either Senate. Well, no, that's actually post-border, and then about 20,000. 20,000.
And you do that with 10 people.
Yeah.
That's what. Oh, it's just the 2 of you. Now, how many people? How many people are yours?
I would say about 350, and then extended, with some other people in HR, about 500 people.
Yeah.
And what do you think of the biggest risk for Eric? What would your answer?
What's the biggest risk for Eric?
Sir?
Yeah, I think happy wife is happy life.
Happy wife is happy life. I'm just gonna write that down.
Don't get me wrong.
So
what I'm trying to say is, I think you're going for your job, right? Your family has to come along. And I think it's really, because everything will focus to the job, right? But I think it's very important to facilitate the family, the kids, the spouse into the new culture. And I think that's a very key thing. If your basis, your home is secure, it's school for the kids, I think that would.
And what's key in that? What is key in that to make them feel at home?
Support them, be there for them, and help them navigate through the complexity of going through a new culture, different laws, different
trying to give them a network of themselves if they are.
But I think that's the difference also, because we are like a very small company still, I think, with if you consider the number of assignments, and I think you can have a much better leverage if you're like a big company with a lot of international students.
Here's one interesting thing about this. The numbers are very high, but the thing is, it's always about that one family or that one person. It is very impactful.
Yeah.
And our leadership sometimes get me some 500 Indians. And then you can let them seriously.
Get me some
seriously. Now, you said, a guy called and said, oh, you're starting sports in Mongolia. I need 50 people outside of 600 kilometers.
Chop. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But it's always about the individual, so that numbers they reach some efficiencies and leverage, it's also something that.
All right. Thank you very much for contributing as well. Priscilla, thank you very much for coming. We are